and, of course, in East Africa. You will recall that three countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, they've exited the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and, of course, that has serious security implications for the other countries in that economic zone. The situation in East Africa is also one that is worrisome. The M23 rebels are advancing towards Bukavu as we speak, and many countries, including the DRC, that is the country in question, and of course Burundi, are accusing Rwanda of supporting or promoting instability in their countries. Of course, the UN, France, and a number of other countries have also alleged that Rwanda is supporting the M23 rebels. So we are going to be looking at how to de-escalate tension, not just in the DRC, but also here in West Africa. We are joined by the Advocacy Officer and ECOWAS Liaison Lead of West African Democracy Solidarity Network, WADEM, Austin Aigbe. Good morning, Austin. Happy New Year to you.
And same year too. Happy New Year. You're looking so takeaway.
All right. So let's begin. This discussion is two-pronged, but let's begin with how West Africa can ensure cooperation and stability in different areas, trade, security, and otherwise. Some have said that the exit of these three countries, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, shouldn't actually be a setback, for cooperation in the region in terms of, how they deal with issues of insecurity, trade relations, and all of that. Let's see what your take on this is to start with.
So it depends on the point of the part you stand. Yes, it can be true, but if you also flip the coin around, it is not true. The Sahel is a major security concern for West Africa. And of course, theoretically, a lot of papers have been written about the Sahel, and of course the Gulf of Guinea. The Sahel has a huge number of militia groups terrorizing that belt. And even Nigeria is part of that Sahel location. For three states, three countries, to have pulled out from ECOWAS, one, it reduces the level of cooperation. It reduces the level of intelligence gathering. It means that when those insurgency groups are in Nigeria, for instance, and you're going to push them out, and they get into northern Niger, because you have the border, over 1,500 kilometer stretch of border between Nigeria and Niger. If they get on the other side, what kind of cooperation do we expect from the Nigerian government to keep them, isolate them in a place, and then you can easily bombard them? So it means that when they cross over, that mutual engagement will have dropped, unless there's a cooperation to say, we take them from this axis, we take them from this axis, we separate them in a location, and then we engage them. That is why when you see, at some point before now, you see Boko Haram run to somewhere like Cameroon, and you can't cross the border. You have to wait until they come back. And that cross alone causes some reinforcement for this militia group. Yes, by a number of other things, you can say, well, all you can do now, ECOWAS can then just fortify their border with the standby force that ECOWAS has launched. So you just go border all of this location. We're talking about 1,500 just between Nigeria and Niger. What about Burkina Faso and Ghana? And we're talking about Mali and Guinea and the rest of them. You're talking about Mali and Senegal. All of those borders will be a huge crisis. Even though between Senegal and Mali is a bit fair, the Medicaid region and the other side of Senegal is not much of where you have the heat of insurgency. It's basically on the Sahel side. We need that level of cooperation. It's not going to be as simple as many people will say. No, don't just worry. Don't just worry. The Sahelian states have deployed 5,000 men to engage in the security cooperation. And yet, there's still bombardment in terms of militia group in those three countries. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger are suffering from huge bombardment of militia group. Benin just suffered recently. We have not had a case before in Benin. I'm talking about Benin Republic, where the militia group killed a number of soldiers on the border between Niger. So those are the things that we'll be missing. We cannot just say it's well for ECOWAS, even though there's a lot of advantages we can talk about the wellness for ECOWAS.
Probably this is the reason why, even in taking this decision for their final exit, ECOWAS was a bit relaxed, saying that doesn't stop, cooperation. That doesn't also stop, particularly people from those countries who are working for ECOWAS, at the moment, except the countries say otherwise.
That will only be between now and July. By July 29th, that won't happen again. ECOWAS is saying that we are giving you 6 months to still rethink. Don't forget, this is not the first time a country will be exiting ECOWAS. It has happened before, so it's not new. So ECOWAS is saying, we understand 3 compared to the 1 that exited before is not 3. We understand the enormity of the task for 3 to just go once. However, we are giving you 6 months to try your independence, your silent state. Try it out for the next 6 months. Let's see. However, because of the peoples of West Africa, talking about the citizens of ECOWAS, we will allow those corporations use the ECOWAS passport. Because when you exit ECOWAS, you are not supposed to be using all of those. So at the end of the day, yeah.
Austin, before we go to talk about East Africa, I just want to make a comment on this. The 3 countries we're talking about, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, are all under military administrations.
Yes.
Now they've pulled out en bloc. Before, what we had was a single country that left. What are the implications for ECOWAS? Do you think this endangers the corporate existence of ECOWAS, or do you think ECOWAS will continue to be stronger?
ECOWAS need to do certain things to become stronger. ECOWAS need to learn internally. And what we are proposing at the level of what they must say, ECOWAS need to reform itself. Look at the treaties. Can you review your treaty again? Can you review your sanction regime? Can you review even the protocol on elections and good governance? Can you review the way you attack military regime who took over power as against civilian authority who also elongate their power? For instance, we have countless number of stories in West Africa where civilian authority elected on maybe 2 terms. By the time the 2nd term is getting over, they change the constitution and begin to elongate themselves on. That is exactly, they try to classify it constitutional because they changed the constitution. Meanwhile, the military guys, they call the military guys unconstitutional because they forced their way in. But either way, you changed something. And that's what I say, ECOWAS, if one of you, because ECOWAS is right now headed by what they call the heads of state. There is no people involved with ECOWAS authority, as it were, unlike African Union where you have ECOSOC, where the citizens gather and take decision the same way the heads of state will take decision. So it's not like ECOWAS is just one authority. And this authority, they call themselves the heads of states. And that is why one man in these countries, one man in Mali, one man in Burkina Faso, one man in Niger, said, well, we are pulling out. They are pulling out from the heads of state authority meeting. Ordinarily, they may not have agreed to pull out from the entire ECOWAS. ECOWAS is not just about heads of state. ECOWAS has a lot of development trajectory. ECOWAS is investing hugely in these 3 countries. ECOWAS is promoting integration. You wake up in the morning, you can go to Ghana and just go and do business and return back. You can go to Mali. We were in Cote d'Ivoire recently where we met with diaspora. A lot of Malians, Burkinabes, are in Cote d'Ivoire doing business. What happened with this exit? There are a lot of controversies and a lot of opportunities. I think for ECOWAS would have lost a huge market. It may not be very huge, but 72.3 million citizens of these 3 countries will be pulling out from the market. The landmass is huge. It's about 50-something%. Even though I know that those landmass they are basically desert running towards Algeria. But in all honesty, both the Sahelian state and ECOWAS, we have a bite of the arch of what will happen as effect. But more importantly, the Sahelian state may have it better, worse.
Okay, let's go to the DRC now. DRC for quite a number of years has been a hotbed of violent activities of rebel groups. The M23, which is one of the 100 odd armed groups in the east of the DRC, is the one that is the most potent right now. And they're already taking Goma on, I think on Thursday they took Goma, and they're moving on to Bukavu now, very close to taking the airport that is very close to Bukavu. And there have been accusations from different angles, from Burundi, from even the government in Kinshasa, as well as other countries. The United Nations has accused Rwanda of being behind the M23 rebels and all of that. But what's your take on the goings on in that country?
It's a pity that DRC have become the hotbed. I mean, that the U.S., I think, whether it's true or false, I don't know. I read recently that Donald Trump has authorized an airstrike. So it's becoming an hotbed. What is in DRC? And that's where that led us to the kind of piece I wrote some years ago about resource cost crisis. There's a challenge that all those militia groups are interested in some pieces of resources. The kind of thing that today, maybe not today, I don't know what was today happening now in Zamfara, the kind of illegal mining situation in Zamfara. Imagine that for your entire country. That's what is happening in DRC. Every bit. But beyond that, it's Rwanda's interest. You know, Rwanda, after the genocidal action and all of the countless and the things that had happened, Rwanda now becoming like a state, a police state. If you go to Kigali or any part of Rwanda, there are things you can't say. You can't mention the kind of things that led to the crisis. Maybe the Hutus or the Tutsi. You can't mention that. It's becoming enforced. You dare not say that you are a Tutsi or you can't. And for Paul Kagame, his own strategy, military strategy, it must have learned that from the U.S. The U.S. take war to you so that they can be safe. What Paul Kagame is doing is actually to maintain war in DRC, destabilizing those forces that will come against Rwanda and keep them going on in battle. And the more they are fighting, the more Rwanda is safe. So, is that correct, international politics? You can say yes, because if you want peace, prepare for war. That's what war specialists will tell you. However, millions of people are dying. We are talking about takeover. Look at the Burundi government has said, Burundi president has said, we will take action because now you are gradually coming to our country. By the time you succeed in taking DRC, you will end up coming to Burundi. And that's the problem that is going on within East Africa. Tanzania has not spoken, of course, that's okay, because Rwanda does have an economic benefit with Tanzania. Rwanda is landlocked. It relies on Tanzania for the coastal part to be able to engage in waterway. But with all sincerity, President Paul Kagame of Rwanda is in fact, he's going to be a military man. He has run an election for the 5th time and won. I say won. And where all opposition are either taken out or killed or arrested or something, the kind of thing that is happening in Russia. You dare not contest him because for him, he needs to protect the territorial integrity of Rwanda. But whether that strategy is a right strategy, it's a different conversation. What this guy is doing is clear. And he has told the UN. The UN clear report says that you are promoting the war in DRC. And he said, no, can I have evidence? Yeah. Because nobody talked about what happened in Syria recently. That some group of people, they call them militia group, ended up taking over the entire country, and President Assad had to run to Russia. However it happened, somebody somewhere is behind, and including the Burundi government, that is sent army to DRC to try to maintain peace. Like you said, there is an hurricane of militia group in Burundi that, as of now, it is a total failed state. You need an authority, the UN, to restore that by coming in to maintain. Okay.
Yeah, but Austin, the UN has like 11,000 peacekeepers in DRC already. And that is not helping because the M23 rebels, they're making a lot of money from the coltan mineral that they charge a production tax on. $800,000 every month. That's a lot of money to have in the hands of a rebel group. So you are saying that the UN should have a force, a peacekeeping force there, but it's not helping. They already have 11,000 men there.
So if you see, it reminds me of what happened in South Sudan, today South Sudan, before South Sudan became a country. Sudan, of course, was controlling all of those areas. You look at Darfur. Blue Mine, and all of the houses where the Janjaweeds will go in and burn an area in Darfur. And there were situational reports to the then Secretary General of the UN, Kofi Annan at that time, may God bless his soul. And it will always say sovereignty. There's need for sovereignty. So the UN has a responsibility to protect. It's a core of international relations. The responsibility to protect is to make sure that all attention of the world, if it means sending 200,000, not 11,000, to restore peace in DRC, for peace to reign in East Africa. Do you know why peace is reigning in East Africa right now? Because the whole crisis is in DRC. By the time it snowballs, because look at Rwanda, pushing them further. Rwanda realizes that those people who he fought off Rwanda are still in DRC today. How do you keep them busy so that they don't organize to come after him? That's why he's contesting election perpetually. He doesn't want to leave. For Paul Kagame, the day he leaves, he's afraid. In fact, he's even afraid to die. Because the day he leaves office, there may be an attack in Rwanda. And he's pushing them off and creating those kind of war perpetually. So let them be using their resources to fight off DRC and making of those money from those natural resources. Like we all know, whether it's true or false, Rwanda is backing M23.
Even though there's the denial, from the government. But let's
the U.S. will always deny the things that happen around the world, even though we know they deny what happened in Benghazi until inmates started flying out.
Okay, so let's look at how to even de-escalate this tension, because like you said, it's being pushed now. Before you know it, it may even spill over the whole of Africa, the way things are going. Now, you talked about resource issues. That's one of the major reasons why this fight is still going on. And for leaders, on this continent, why would you be supporting rebels, for instance, against a constituted government? Or how do we go about resolving this issue to ensure it doesn't de-escalate? It doesn't escalate.
Yeah. So yes, it's a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge. First is to hold. We want to call it. The UN have done a lot to try to de-escalate those, even right from Kofi Annan I mentioned. There's been that diplomacy. Diplomacy alone is not a solution. That is why in conflict resolution, there's what we call the CCC. You consult, you consolidate. When it's not happening, you confront. As of this time, there's need to confront this militia group. What can then happen, of course, this is not some of the things you say on air, is to organize. Rebel groups want to work against the one that is striving. Right now, M23 is like the number one. Other rebel groups would like to organize around themselves to fight off one.
And reports say they're already gaining ground, really. Yeah. That's where the challenge is.
Because they're making huge money and they're getting supplies. Cut that off. How can you do that? The international world, I'm actually saying international world. The world knows, when I say the world, the police of the world knows where those arms are coming in. You think we don't know where arms, if you ask some intelligence guys, they'll tell you where arms are coming from into Nigerian space for Boko Haram to use. They know. They know. Cut that off. And that can happen because it is a global trade. Arms deal, largely global trade. Most of those military contractors in the US, in the UK, and all of those world, including Russia, who are investing arms into countries. Right now, we're talking about this Sahelian state we just talked about. Why are they so bold? Because of the arms that are coming from Russia into these countries. The ones from Syria has been moved to, Mali or Burkina Faso. And when you see those arms, you are likely, or is it the satellite provided by Russia? So you are likely to continue to make those powerful statements and be so bold. That is what is happening. Target M23. If Rwanda denies, there's a way you can know. But there's somebody supporting Rwanda. I'm not saying somebody. I'm actually saying there's a cartel that supports Rwanda to do that job. Cut off those. When you're able to cut them off,
yeah, but who is going to do that? Because the UN has almost 11,000 peacekeepers there. The Southern African Development Community, SADC, has some men. It's extended its military mission in Congo late last year so that they can help to fight the rebels. Plus, Burundi is there. What about the other countries? Uganda, the Lord's Resistance Army, is part of the rebel groups. Is one of the rebel groups also troubling the DRC. So who bears the cat here, Austin?
That's where I talked about organizing. If you check each of those deployments,
yes, who will organize? Who will? Because all of these people are working at different from different points in silos.
They are all fragmented, and each of them are also interested in mineral resource. I'm not accusing them. I'm saying that theoretically it exists. Once you go into an area, if you are making a lot, you want to continue the war. But that's by the side. The UN has that responsibility. But of course, before the UN is the AU. What has AU really done? Has AU mobilized? It's not in any report I've written about the UN, the AU literally truly deploys those kind of action. But importantly, the AU has the first responsibility, but the AU lacks power, the kind of power that the UN has. It's for the AU to initiate those security conversations at the security meeting or at the UN Security Council meeting to say all of these 5 superpowers, these military powers of the world, can you sign a deal? Let peace reign in DRC. And for peace to reign in DRC, this is what we will do. Each of these countries, China, Russia, the United States, France, the UK, bring personnel as part of UN deployment so that you see, by the time your personnel are getting killed, maybe they'll start withdrawing.
All right, Austin, we have to go now. Thank you very much for your time, for talking to us this morning.
Thank you.
Austin Aigbe, the Advocacy Officer and ECOWAS Liaison Lead of the West African Democracy Solidarity Network, WADEM, is joined us to talk about stability and how to de-escalate tension in West Africa and, of course, in East Africa.
All right, do have a great day.
Thank
you for your time.
And have a blessed day.
Okay, so...